You've done the big tidy, surfaces wiped down, dishwasher loaded, everything put away, and somehow the kitchen still feels cluttered. If that sounds familiar, it's probably not because you've got too much stuff, although let's be honest, that can be part of it too. More often, it's the kitchen itself not quite set up to support how you actually live and cook. Your landing zones are missing, too small, or in the wrong place. A landing zone is just a bit of worktop where something gets put down before or after you use an appliance. Think pans moving off the hob, trays coming out of the oven, even food coming out of the fridge. When there isn't a sensible spot for any of this, things end up just wherever there's a gap. Instead of a clear space nearby with a trivet for your hot pans, they get pushed to other areas of the hob or balanced awkwardly on the back ring of the cooktop to try to make way for other pans or room to put the tray down from your oven. You don't actually have the space you need, and everything starts to build up and get even more cluttered. Most kitchens need a handful of these zones, and they don't need to be huge to be effective. But if you can get these landing zones in the right places with enough space, you'll notice a real difference. And location matters just as much as size. When you're planning a layout, walk through your actual cooking routine step by step. Ask yourself, do you have enough space in the right places? You haven't planned a home for your small appliances. The kettle, the toaster, the air fryer, the coffee machine, the blender, they all need somewhere permanent to live, and that's much easier to sort out before the cabinets are designed, not after. I always get clients to think about which small appliances they use daily and which ones only come out occasionally. Daily ones need to live somewhere convenient, on the worktop or in a cupboard that you can reach without really thinking. The occasional ones can go further away, maybe in a pantry cupboard or even in another room if you have a utility close by. Trying to retrofit this once the kitchen's finished rarely works. You end up squeezing things into whatever gap is left, and that's exactly how worktops get cluttered with appliances that don't have a proper home. And if you're getting a new kitchen, now is the perfect time to have a good sort out. Most of us have at least a few gadgets that never get used: the spiralizer, the sandwich toaster, the egg cooker someone bought you 3 Christmases ago. Sell what's worth selling, donate the rest, and let the things you never use go. I put money on it, you won't even notice they're gone. The permanent dish rack. Almost every kitchen has had this at some point: a drying rack, permanently full of clean dishes sitting on the worktop, just until they're put away. Here's the problem though, especially in smaller kitchens: a full drying rack can easily take up a third or half of your prep space. And there's a psychological side to it too. Your brain reads a pile of dishes, even clean ones, as an unfinished task. That sense of there's still something to do here adds to the overall feeling of clutter, even when the rest of the kitchen is spotless. A few ways around it: it could be that you need to prioritize getting a dishwasher in your design and layout, or making sure you can get a full-size dishwasher to handle everything so there's less need to wash items by hand. Or you could go for an in-cabinet drying rack, a wall cabinet directly above the sink with a slatted base so dishes drain out of sight. And sometimes it really is just a habit fix. Build in a quick dry and put away step at the end of washing up, rather than letting the rack become a permanent fixture. The under sink cupboard of shame. Most of us have got one. The cupboard under the sink that's somehow home to 3 different surface cleaners, half a dozen sponges, an old J-cloth, and at least 1 bottle of something nobody can really identify anymore. When that cupboard starts to overflow, the spare bottles don't disappear, they migrate. Suddenly, there's washing up liquid, hand cream, and a spray bottle living permanently on the windowsill or the side of the sink, adding to the visual clutter. A proper sort out here is one of the cheapest, quickest wins on this whole list. Then add some simple organization, pull-out trays, a tiered riser, or even just a couple of boxes to make the most of what's often quite an awkward space around the pipework. There's no drop zone before you reach the kitchen. This one can catch some people out. You come home, hands full of bags, post, keys, the kids' school rucksacks, and the kitchen island, or the nearest worktop, is the first flat surface you reach. So that's where it all lands. It happens almost every day, and over time that temporary pile becomes a permanent feature of the kitchen. The fix is simple in principle. Create a proper drop zone somewhere before you get to the kitchen. A hallway, a porch, or a utility room is ideal. Even a small console table with a tray for keys and post, plus a few hooks for bags and coats, can be enough to break the habit. It doesn't need to be a big space, it just needs to be the easier option so the kitchen worktop stops being the default. Open shelving looks lovely, but it's rarely enough storage. Open shelving photographs beautifully, a few cookbooks, some nice glasses, and a plant. The problem is what happens to everything else. Most kitchens need more enclosed storage than open shelves alone can give you. Everything that isn't quite display-worthy still needs a home, and if there isn't one, it quite often ends up on the worktop instead. And open shelves that aren't styled perfectly every single day can become their own source of clutter, full of mismatched jugs, half-used jars, and odds and ends. This is where a good old-fashioned wall cabinet earns its place. They're not always the most exciting design choice, but they can store and hide quite a lot. And a quick tip, most wall cabinets are around 300 millimeters deep, which is fine for mugs, glasses, and smaller plates. If you've got larger dinner plates and a lot of modern sets of 28 to 30 centimeters in diameter, it's worth asking about a slightly deeper wall cabinet option around 350 millimeters deep. Very small visual difference, but it makes a noticeable difference to what actually fits. And this is not to say open shelving is bad, because it's really not. If you love the look of open shelving, it can work brilliantly, especially alongside an adequate amount of closed storage. Just be realistic about how much of your kitchen you actually want on show every day. Visual clutter is its own kind of clutter. This is the one people often can't quite put their finger on. The kitchen might be tidy, everything's put away, and it still feels busy. And honestly, that's usually down to visual clutter rather than physical clutter. That could be too many finishes competing for attention, cabinets, flooring, worktops, walls, splashback, light fittings, sockets and switches. That's a lot of different surfaces and finishes in one room. When too many of them clash or just don't relate to each other, your eye never quite settles. That constant visual noise creates a sense of clutter even when the room is spotless. I'd usually suggest picking a fairly tight palette of materials and being deliberate about where contrast is introduced. A bit of contrast can look brilliant. Too much spread across every surface just feels chaotic. Or it could be something like freestanding appliances breaking up the run. Fridge freezers, dishwashers, washing machines, even cooker hoods. These are sometimes not fully thought through and oftentimes overlooked, but visually they can have a big impact. If they're all on display, maybe in different finishes and interrupting an otherwise smooth run of cabinetry, it breaks that sense of order that makes a kitchen feel designed rather than just furnished. Where the budget allows, integrating these behind matching cabinet doors is a great way to keep that flow. And if integration isn't possible, being more considered on where some of these appliances are being placed within the layout and room can help make a big difference. Keeping items together or towards the ends of runs as much as possible and not interrupting every other cabinet can help the room feel more visually organized. And also, just being consistent with the finishes helps far more than people expect. Quick wins versus the bigger jobs. If all of that feels like a lot, don't worry, not everything here needs a renovation. Some of these you could tackle this weekend. Gadget sort out, the under-sink cupboard, sorting out the dish rack habit, or setting up a simple drop zone near the front door. Others are worth planning properly at the design stage if you are having a renovation. Landing zones, dedicated small appliance storage, wall cabinets versus open shelving, and integrated appliances. If you've got a kitchen project coming up, it's worth going through this list earlier on. Most of these fixes cost very little extra if they're planned in from the start, but can be expensive or sometimes impossible to add later. So clutter in the kitchen isn't always about being untidy or having too much stuff. Although, yes, it can be, but quite often it's the kitchen itself not quite matching how you actually live. So, which of these is the biggest culprit in your kitchen right now? Or is there something else you can't wait to change and fix in your new kitchen? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this one, I'm sure you'll like this one, where I go through 12 clever storage ideas to help your kitchen work harder for you. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.